Alright, today I'm going to change the throttle body on this 76 Malibu with a 5.3 in it. I went to the salvage yard today to get parts for that one, and stupid thing had to reset it 3 times before it let me leave, so I'm done with it. I've already kind of got started on it. I've already pulled, well, I just pulled the clamp off of that. I mean, it's not that difficult to see what's going on there, but I pulled the throttle body out of the way. Of course, already unhooked the battery. Well, maybe that's a better way to look at it. And I've pinched off these lines. I'm using these little plastic deals. I have no idea if they're going to work, so I don't know how much antifreeze we're going to get out, because I know that one's dripping already since I loosened the hose clamps on both sides too. So I got to take the wire harness loose, and there's 3 bolts. I've already got my other throttle body and gasket. So anyway, we're going to give this a try. I'm going to sit you on a tripod, so forgive moving around. I'm going to try to continue to talk. It's hard for me to chew gum and walk at the same time, so we'll see if I can do 2 things at a time. I'm going with probably not. Alright, well, let's get started. Well, I'm gonna see if I can get this, yeah, that wasn't too difficult. Wiring harness is out. And this thing is a little bit, I had it running obviously today, so. Now it doesn't appear to want to completely stop. That's not sealed real good, so I'll lay it up where it's higher than the radiator, and that's about as far as it would compress. Yeah, we expect plastic Chinese stuff, right? Let's see if I can get this one loose. This was a little harder with the alternator in the way. I don't know why they run coolant lines through these years. It doesn't have an EGR like the 01, like my 01. Where the EGR actually comes in right behind the throttle body on the intake side, but for some reason they still run these things, and I don't really know why. So it is what it is. I thought about just bypassing it, but I don't know if you're supposed to do that or not. And I don't want this thing to not run right, and I can't figure out why it is and find out something stupid that I did. I'll just put it back on as how it was. I did show you when I did the walk around the other day on what I did with that coolant line, because since I'm using an aftermarket radiator, the return off of this throttle body runs into the factory. There's actually a spot in the radiator for it, and as soon as I get this throttle body off there, I'll sit you over and take a look at it. What I did, I bought a radiator though, just kind of talk you through it a little bit. I bought a radiator specifically for it having an extra port. Some of the old GM, especially the trucks, your heater core return, well, one was supply, one was return. On the original setup, or on a lot of the other GMs, oh man, I didn't think about that. I may have to take the radiator hose is in the way. So, well, I didn't think that all the way through. I'm gonna have to get some different tools, which figures. But anyway, may have to do this in 2 parts. Anyway, on the original, some of the trucks especially that I've ran into, they used to have a heater hose return on your heater core. Sorry, to be fed and to return. One would go in the water pump and one would go in the intake manifold. Well, for a handful of years, they actually ran, one of the hoses actually came right into a port that was actually part of the radiator. And I'll show you that on this. This radiator was actually designed to, you can't really, it's hard to see because of the way everything's angled here. This port right here was actually set up to have that, or it had a plug in it that had a some type of a pipe plug deal in it. And so I knew that I could actually get a fitting or 2, which is what I ended up doing. Is hose barb to a fitting here, and that's what I used for the return on that, because you cannot plug the steam. I don't know if it's a steam port they call it or steam return, but it actually runs from this side of the head. Let's see if I can. I can't see where my finger's at. I gotta get this thing off the tripod. I can't do it this way. Sorry guys. making it a lot more difficult than it really needs to be. Okay, I got it in my hand. This port right here, if you see, it's got a piece of tubing that runs all the way over, and you can't see it because of all the garbage, that actually runs over to the other head, and it has a hole just like that, and then it has a T comes off, and that's the one that runs to this bottom hose for the coolant for the throttle body for whatever reason, and then off the bottom of the throttle body. And actually I can show you better on this one. This is what they look like. You got one coming in and you got one going out to the radiator. So anyway, then that hose that I took off there then runs over to here, and I'm not really sure what it's for, but it's something that it has to be hooked up. You can't plug those ports. However, running it into the throttle body I don't understand. I thought about just replacing the hose down at the bottom and running all the way along, but it's very difficult to get to without pulling the alternator, and I don't feel like doing that today. Like I said, it's supposed to have it for a reason. The reason I can't get that off is I'm going to have to actually pull the studs out of the intake, is because it's hitting there. Even if I pulled the hose clamp and moved it around, I'm not sure there would be enough room. There might be. You're probably seeing my fingers in the picture now. You know what? Let me do that. Let me loosen that hose clamp up and turn it first before I shut you off. Start this over again. Put you back on the tripod. Sorry about it jumping around. That's how I roll. Well, now I'm moving everything around. Where are you at? All right. It's getting bright out here, so it's very difficult to see. Let me see if I can turn this clamp without losing all my antifreeze. Alright, a little bit of dead air there. Let me see it. Oh yeah, look at there. I just gotta be smarter than the equipment. Alright, I got that off there. And the reason I'm doing this, and I showed you in another video, the reason I have to change this is this thing keeps going into a type of a limp mode, and it is literally, I don't know what that was, I'm literally losing the foot pedal. It goes into the check engine light comes on, the thing idles real fast, and it doesn't give me foot pedal at all. The foot pedal doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. So I've been carrying, as soon as it started doing that, luckily, like I told you the first time, there's a guy across the street putting the ramp down on a 5x10 trailer, 6x10 or whatever it is. Come on, pay attention. Anyway, the first time it left me sitting was here in the driveway, which I explained the other day in the other video, kind of intro in this car. So it was no big deal. I just went in and got my OBD2 code reader, stuck it in there, reset it, and I've been fine. I thought, well, I'm not going to leave it because, or not have one with me, the reader, because I'm afraid this thing will leave me sitting somewhere. And sure enough, it did. Because at first it wasn't doing it very often. It was just doing it every once in a while. Now it, does it. But every start. Now what I have found, which is kind of unusual in my eyes, but there may be somebody out here who could explain it, what it is doing though, when I have that OBD2 reader hooked to it, which I just recently started doing all the time, it does not seem to do it as much. It does it like every third start. But today I got over to the salvage yard. It started fine here at the house, went over to the salvage yard and got out, and I come back out to get in the car, and it did it 3 or 4 times before it finally let me drive away with it. And that kind of aggravated me, but what can you do? So then I had to go to the bank to get the money, so I didn't know how much he was going to charge, because I bought a lot of parts for this 77 over here, and I'll do a video on that when I go pick it up tonight. I had to go through about 4 cars before I found all the parts I needed. So anyway, I finally got that. So I thought I was going to have to go to Texas, but I got looking at their website last night. It's CTC Ranch. It's kind of a plug for them. They were actually on an episode of Roadkill. For those of you who watch Roadkill, I'm sure most of you at least heard of it, if not know who it is, because they're on there quite a bit. They got some decent episodes. They're kind of running out of stuff to do, I think, because now they're kind of getting into where it used to be it's not that they were doing it cheap, because half the stuff they bought, it wasn't that expensive maybe to buy the vehicle or the motor or the parts or whatever, but then everywhere they went, they ended up having to get brand new tools, and you know, they broke down, and they, you know, but I still enjoy watching them. The guys are a kick to watch, and so I still watch them, of course. But anyhow, CTC Ranch was on one of the episodes with a white Barracuda. I believe it was a 67, don't quote me on that. And anyway, they basically pulled it out of the salvage yard, got it running, took it to the drags, auctioned it off. Long story short, I believe it ended up back at that same salvage yard. That's kind of how that works, I guess. But anyway, CTC Ranch, it's Sherman, it's somewhere in Texas. I don't remember. Denton, don't get me, I'm lying. It's somewhere in Texas. But CTC Auto Ranch, I believe. Like I said, I'm not really doing a plug for them. I've never been down there, never called them. But I go on their website, and they have a lot of neat stuff, a lot of it. I got a friend of mine who had a 47 Studebaker Land Cruiser, suicide door, 4-door. Kind of a cool old car. He ended up getting rid of it here not that long ago. I think he regrets it now, but it's, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And anyway, they actually had 2 or 3 down there that would have worked for some parts, because he needed like trunk lid and a couple other little things, and they actually had 2 or 3 of them down there. But anyway, they had several of these years down there, and after I got looking for taillights and bumpers and stuff, boy, it was slim pickings. And of course, being in, most of those cars came from Texas, you know, they get burned up, kind of like being, you know, it's pretty hot there all the time. Plastic stuff doesn't last, and there's nobody repopping anything for these cars of that nature. I mean, I can get quarters. I found a couple of places on eBay that actually had NOS front fenders, but they were like $1,400–1,500. And it's like, come on. I paid less for that in the car. I paid $700 for that black one. Drove it home. I paid $1,000 for this one. Had it running in 45 minutes. So, sorry if my head's in the road. I'm trying to get the clamp back on there, which I just did. Okay. So, the hoses are connected up, the wiring harness is connected up, bolts are tight. I'm going to put the intake back on. Let me set everything aside here. Because the mass air flows there, I don't want to code for the mass air not reading. This thing is tight on there, let me tell you what, it was not. And I'm talking about where it fits on the intake, it's made for that. I'm talking about how close it is to everything. That's why I had to beat it up to get it to fit. Make sure everything's on there straight. My wife just texted me, I bet you that was her. Girl she works with, out of the blue, said that family members, after a death in the family, probate's over and all the stuff is took care of or whatever, she's trying to sell a 70, I think they said a 72 or 3 Dodge Charger. Nah, it's been sitting for a few years, but they said the body was really nice. And I told her, I said, get some information on it. If none of the other family members want it, I said, I don't want to be a big family squabble over an old, you know, a Chrysler, especially, those aren't the most popular of the Chargers. I don't mind them. I like big cars, obviously. You see some of the stuff I drive, so anyway. I told her, so get some information on it, what they want, make sure we're not getting in the middle of a squabble on something, and then we'll go from there. Okay, guys, I'm going to try to start it. Just hook the battery back up and see what happens. Well, there you go. Right or wrong, it's running. What I'll do is I'll drive it for a few days and idling kind of funny. I don't know if it's trying to relearn or, I mean, it's something new on it, so we'll kind of see how it goes. I know when it gets hot and you start it up hot, it kind kind of likes to surge and be stupid for a little bit till everything gets back to temperature. But anyway, it's running. Life is good. Anyway, I'll give it a few days, guys, and then I'll update you on it later on. See ya.